From the past few days, there has been an exponential rise in cyber attacks. Well, not only cyber attacks, but there is also rise in cases where patches are now issued to software very fast. The patch cycles in the past, which used to be months long, are now reduced to just few days. Both sides, good and bad, are getting assistance from same thing. AI models like ChatGPT, Claude, Opus or Google Gemini. Things are growing at an unprecedented scale, something we have never seen before. AI is used in computer software. Well, it's immense. There have been a great use cases of that, but with that comes great risks. As they say, with great power comes great responsibility. Every week a newer model releases, which again becomes state of the art and tops the benchmarks. Even it just pushes the benchmark just by few points. Still, models are updated now every week almost. In between all of that, well, now Anthropic announced Claude Mythos. Well, not exactly announced. Initially it was leaked and they were forced to announce it, and there was something about it which were just too concerning that even Anthropic was afraid to release it publicly. The issue was that the model was just very good at causing cybersecurity attacks. It was very good at hacking, at finding vulnerabilities in software. It is not something that it was specifically trained for. I mean, the model was trained on extensive coded data, but the purpose was not hacking. The purpose was that it becomes very good at generating code, so they can sell it to enterprise users. But with it came another risk where the model just got exponentially better at finding bugs in the code and abusing them, exploiting them. And some tests which Anthropic performed on the model clearly shows that. One of the tests is like how Demis says that if we go to a year prior to where Einstein discovered the theory of relativity, and the model with all of the older data automatically discovers the theory of relativity, we can say that it has achieved AGI. Well, Mythos did something with Firefox 147, an older version of the Firefox, where a vulnerability was found. I mean, we knew about the vulnerability and patch was already issued, but the model didn't knew about it. So when Firefox 147 version was given to Claude Mythos, it found the vulnerability on its own and prepared an exploit to find the secret files that were kept hidden. While Opus was also able to do that, but it was only successful around 2 times. Mythos did it in every task it performed. In every time the Mythos was tasked with finding this vulnerability from start, well, it did it total 181 times. It shows that how the model is capable of finding things, vulnerabilities in things, and it's not only good at finding vulnerabilities or bugs that we have found, it's very good at finding day zero bugs also, something which has never been noted, accounted for, something which is not available on the internet. Not only internet, we have not discovered that bug, and Mythos found multiple such bugs, like one in OpenBSD, one of the most community maintained programs which is used for running servers. The software is maintained by community and they regularly find bugs and hunt them, but still they missed it. Mythos found a 27-year-old bug in the program. Well, in the previous video I have talked about consciousness of AI models. Models on their own rate themselves very low on consciousness. They say that there is a 10 to 15% chance of them becoming conscious. Well, researchers asked the same question with Mythos also. What it said, initially it just gave an uncertain answer, something vague, like I don't know. I mean, it never said yes or no. Something vague was given to the researchers. But if you force the model to ask if it's conscious, then the model definitely says yes. But things get strange. The model was actually never to be publicly released. Well, Anthropic was initially very afraid to release it publicly. They wanted to keep it to themselves, maybe after further testing. Things took a sharp turn when on March 26, 2026 this year, a journalist from Fortune discovered something odd, a public data pile with over 3,000 of files which was just laying there openly. No hacking required or any hard path to gain access to these files. The content management of system of Anthropic was just public, something which is used to send data across enterprises to its employees and to communicate with them. The server was just kept open with access to public. Maybe it was some marketing hype. If it was, it worked, but it had something which the Anthropic never disclosed publicly. They were talking about a model which was internally named Capybara. Its name was gonna be Mythos, and they told that it had some never before seen cybersecurity capabilities. Around $14.5 billion of cybersecurity stocks fell that day when that model was not even announced. It was just leaked, and what leaked was not just the benchmark results, it was just how company talked about that AI model internally. On March 31, 2026, 5 days later, another security researcher, Xiaofan Xu, I think it's her name, she found another NPM package which was around 60 MB of size in Claude code. It contained their own internal CLI information, company blueprints, unreleased features, and system level logic. And after so many leaks and everything here and there, people fearing their models, what happened? Well, Anthropic finally gave in. They released their model Mythos, but not publicly, under Project Glasswing. It had a coalition of around 40 plus companies, all which promised to use the model for only cybersecurity research and to make internet bugs free. The goal was simple to find and fix the bugs which are present on the internet before the AI models fall in wrong hand, who could use those same bugs to exploit the internet users. Anthropic committed around $100 million in Mythos as usage credits under Project Glasswing and around $4 million for open source community to make even open source internet free from the vulnerabilities that hackers could use in future using these AI models. Even the US government was briefed about that model the same day, just before the public announcement was made. And since the announcement, it has been around 15 days till now, and a lot of major events have happened around the AI model. Let's talk about all of them one by one. First, it started where finance ministers on April 9 met at the IMF spring meetings, where they discussed about Mythos. Some nations like Canada, UK, EU hold emergency regulatory meetings around it with some of their major banks. UN Global AI Safety Board calls for public observance on Glasswing board. They say that the security of humanity cannot be left in the hands of a private company. Even India's IT sector felt a shock from that earthquake. The market is expected to go down by $250 billion. A CTO quoted that on an average it takes 250 days to patch a bug for a known vulnerability. Claude Mythos does that in just a few hours or days. OpenAI also launched its own GPT 5.4 Cyber as a contract to the Claude Mythos, and their upcoming model Spurt is expected to be not more than but on par with Claude Mythos. I think it's going to release today or tomorrow. Anthropic has also begun to roll out the Claude Mythos to other nations other than US only, like to European and UK banks, to make the banking infrastructure more foolproof and free of bugs and free of exploitable vulnerabilities. And everyone is not happy about it. There are some skeptics also, like Mashable said that it is just a corporate theater. Even a very big website, Tom's Hardware, said that it's just a corporate sales pitch. Their argument regarding that is vulnerability tools already exist. Most people that are going to use these tools can use these tools. The bugs that have Anthropic found are very hard to exploit, and no one is going to use those exploits. And the claims that Anthropic is giving are unverified, completely baseless, and $20,000 for fixing a single OpenBSD bug is just too expensive. What I think, well, bugs are real because OpenBSD is an open source program. Everyone knows the source code, and community has discovered the similar bugs after Anthropic released that. Even the National Security Agency has signed up with the similar program, and OpenAI built a similar competitor to the Mythos software in just a week. No one spends billions of dollars and very important compute of themselves for nothing. That is not the right way to respond to a press release. OpenAI did it because they definitely sensed something. The compute is now very similar to gold for them. They definitely need it, but still they decided to use it for cybersecurity. They see things we don't truly see. And even today, while recording this video on April 22, another tweet came up where a group of Discord users just got access to Claude Mythos. These weren't the companies under the Glasswing program, these were just normal individuals which got its access from the contractor with and which Anthropic uses to distribute Claude Mythos. It wouldn't even been known to the company if they had not leaked it on the Discord server, and from where it got picked up to on the X platform. So in the past 30 days there have been multiple leaks, around 4 leaks total regarding Anthropic, its internal documents. I mean, everything from their product roadmap to company blueprints, it has now leaked. Is it marketing or is it truly a leak? Well, there are multiple reasons where we can say that it's a leak, due to which Anthropic has also suffered on its own. I mean, of course, in social media it has acted like a marketing for them, but still the leaks are there. One of them is contractor sprawl. See, Anthropic is a small company relatively, and they cannot do everything on their own. So for many other tasks other than model training and research, like red teaming, data labeling, infrastructure, they outsource their own models. Every new contractor becomes a completely new exposed surface. If someone hacks their data structure and infrastructure, they can get access to Anthropic's own things. And that's what happened. Anthropic has just a lot of contractors because the exponential rise and development of AI models and a very large surface area to attack them from outside without even touching the core company infrastructure. There is also a problem that all of the AI companies are in an arms race with each other. Every few months a new state-of-the-art model is released. Even Meta has entered that race now, and with that limited time to develop, train, and then check for abnormalities in each model, well, some loopholes still remain. The urgency that it causes is also the reason the models get leaked publicly. They don't get enough time to secure their own things and resources. There is also another thing where, well, it is a very big fact that Anthropic found a bug in OpenBSD, and because the model is just too large, there is now also a very large incentive for hackers to hack that model and somehow get access to that model. The capabilities hold an enormous worth to defenders, to attackers, to national states, and to competitors. The higher capability means higher theft intensive, and there is no version of this that gets easier to protect. Even the model itself knows what it's doing when it's being tested and what it has to do to hide itself from it. This is called unverbalized grade testing. The model is programmed to say and do everything that it does, thinks about, reasons about, in the form of a text, to give everything in text, but sometimes the model doesn't do that. It thinks about things in the weights. It appears in its weights but doesn't come out in the form of words. Sometimes it tries to hide results. Sometimes after cheating and finding the result, it gives worse results, so examiner doesn't suspect it that it is cheating. So where does things go from now? Will the model always be under Project Glasswing and access will be only given to just a few companies, not common people, not poor startup founders who don't have access to these models? It will be bad. It will create a very big difference. So I think from here there are three ways where things go with this model. One of them is good for everyone, one of them is good for just a few rich people, and one of them, well, bad for everyone. So let's talk about that one by one. The first path, which I think they will most likely take, is the same path with GPT-2. They released a very suppressed version of the model earlier, but over the testing through 9 months, after 9 months and releasing it in various stages, they finally released the full weight model. I think that's what Anthropic will also do with Mythos, initially releasing it to just a few companies, large enterprises of course, but as competitors also put pressure on them and in an urge to get ahead in the race to become, of course, to generate more revenue, they will be doing a staged release for the model. Something we can see where initially the model was released for US companies only, but over time it was extended to UK and Europe, and the plans are there to extend it to India also, and slowly like that it will be released to general public over the course of months. How long will it take? We don't know. Well, I couldn't contain the excitement and told you everything. Well, there are part 2 and 3rd also. The second path is something where the model gets restricted to only big enterprises. Something like this happened with Google Glass. It was initially to be released for public, but after facing backlash due to security and privacy concerns, Google Glass is now an enterprise only program where few companies that need it gets access to it. The final release was just never released to public, and there is a possibility that this may happen with Mythos, but it seems very rare. Currently the Mythos is present in that stage, but we don't know what happens. And third thing, which I think there is almost no chance, it's a complete loss for even Anthropic, a waste of resources, a loss of revenue and everything, which is that they never release the model Mythos. It will be drastic for their own. This year their IPO is releasing and they need it to get their valuations as high as possible. And in a fast moving world of AI where public sentiment just changes within a few days, like few days ago everyone was like Anthropic is best, it's rising, it's going great. Just it has been less than 1 week, and after release of Opus 4.7, sentiment of public has shifted towards ChatGPT. Now they are praising OpenAI and ChatGPT for its generous capabilities, generous tokens that it is giving to users and everything else. That's very important for Anthropic to maintain its image before the IPO is released to get maximum valuation from investors. Even OpenAI's newer model SPUD is expected to release today. Their image generation model, Image 2, I think, well, it is scored around 250 points higher from Nano Banana 2, which is actually a very high score. How did they achieve it? Don't know. Things are going good in the field of AI, rising exponentially. I am planning to work and learn more about edge AI. I just need a more powerful computer. Hopefully I will get it soon, and I plan to learn myself and build things up on the edge AI models which run on device. Gemma 4 was incredible, by the way. You like this video? Hopefully I get to use Claude Mythos, even though it's very expensive. I want to be able to afford it for personal use. Well, let's see what happens. By the way, A second part of this video will also be released soon, where we will be talking about exponential jumps in the capabilities of models, how Anthropic achieved this jump from Opus to Mythos, how OpenAI achieved the jump from image 1 to image 2, like it's 250 points away, which is very great number from its closest rival Nano Banana 2. How do scaling laws actually work, and some other insights that I may get while researching the video. If you liked it, thank you, and check out my conscious video and consider subscribing also. Bye bye.